welcome back. If you are new here, welcome. Grab your tea, grab you a seat, and enjoy the reading. Today, I'm going to do one on a conspiracy theory, the conspiracy theory being Project Bluebeam. I got the idea for this after seeing a video from, I don't know if he's still like a canceled YouTuber or not, but I was watching his video and he was discussing Project Bluebeam and how the US government may be using it as a form of control. And this is why a lot of our technology has really sped and ramped up, including things with like TikTok. And that's why they're really harvesting a lot of data and things like that, because of the sense of basically like propaganda. And so I want to get into this and see if there's any validity to Project Bluebeam being a CIA operation, or if it's just all hoopla and we shouldn't, worry about it. Is it really going to be something that they use in order to thwart alien invasions? If you didn't know, Project Bluebeam is alleged to be something that I think it's actually a theory from another guy before he predicted that the government was going to try to make us believe in aliens. And therefore, when we are under attack, they're going to make us, out of like slowly rolling things out and basically like manipulation and feeding us certain information, it will lead us to believe that we're under alien attack. And this is another reason why a lot of people think alien sightings and things like that has ramped up over the years. So again, I'm just going to get into this and see if there's any validity to this, or if it's just all a hoax. Is it all just, again, hoopla? With that being said, if you're wondering what I mean by reading, how are you going to do this? What do you mean reading? You got some paperwork? No. I do have another form of paper, some cardboard, in a sense. I am going to be doing this through a tarot reading. I use the cards to kind of pick up on intuitive messages from spirit, from source, from the galaxy, from the universe, and I try to interpret them and provide you all with the information that I am getting. Because these are intuitive readings and it's me trying to interpret what I'm receiving, there is sometimes some misinterpretation that is going to be had. Sometimes there's going to be some non-facts being told. So I always encourage you to use your power of discernment when utilizing my readings or anybody else's. I don't care what kind of medium, how good of a medium they are, how good of a tarot reader they are, palm reader, whatever, astrology reader. I don't care how good they are. Always use your power of discernment, because sometimes, sometimes what they may be picking up is not always what's going to be coming through. So in that sense, I always say exercise the power of discernment. That's the greatest power you can have and utilize and exercise in your everyday life, not just even when it comes to spiritual things, even when it comes to things that your friends are telling you. Exercise that power of discernment. And now that I have that out of the way, I do also want to issue a disclaimer, because again, with this being intuitive readings, and because this is something on a big conspiracy, take this with a grain of salt. This is all at the end of the day for good fun, but I am trying to give you a reading that I can stand behind, that I am, comfortable and can be proud of. But all statements made in this video are alleged for entertainment purposes only. So no matter what I get, entertainment purposes, okay? And again, if tarot or astrology, numerology, cartomancy, any of those ANSIs is something that, or ologies is something that disturbs your spirit, please take the time to click off, go find something that is more nurturing and nourishing to your soul and to your spirit, and go elsewhere. I do not want to keep you here. I'm not trying to force you into anything at this point. You are just watching because you want to tap in, or you're like me, you're kind of intrigued, kind of nosy, want to know what's going on. So with all of that being said, we're getting into this reading. And these cards are a bit scary. I'll just warn you up front. This is the Tarot Z. So it is depictions of zombies. If that is something that disturbs you, I'm just giving you a heads up now before I flip one over and you're like, hold on. So let's get into the energy of Project Bluebeam. Okay, I have two cards that flipped out here. And if you've never seen a LotusMaje reading, I also like to pull a few cards from the bottom of the deck as well. And so we also have the Five of Coins along with the Knight of Swords here. And that is coming up in the reverse for the underlying energy. I can't get it all on the screen, but I'm going to try. So we have the Moon card, oddly enough, coming up in the upright. So to me, this immediately leads to that there is some covert, some secrecy being had here. It could also speak to things of like nefarious purposes. It could also speak to things that aren't quite known. So again, it could kind of like think about it as like a lie of omission. So I think it's something that maybe the public is aware of, but we don't see it for exactly what it is. And so we do have the Eight of Wands here, and sometimes it can speak to usually I think of quickness, of things like moving too fast, something that needs to be slowed down. Sometimes the Eight of Wands kind of give me witchcraft kind of energy, like, you know, there could be some magical work, hexes, spells, things like that that could be going on. But in this particular case, it makes me think of research, because if you don't have the Tarot Z, the story behind this, if you, I don't know if you all can see it really well. Let me clear that up. So down the front of the body of this zombie, you see it's like some little staples and zippers. And so the premise behind the Eight of Wands in this particular deck is that, you know, people wanted to research what made the zombies tick, what made them move, what, you know, what made them stop. They went into the process you know, from a right place, trying to figure out how to stop it. But eventually things kind of turned south, and eventually they started doing it and being mad scientists, essentially, just seeing like how far they could go, if they could use the zombies for their own gains and means and purposes. And so to me, it just makes me feel like research here with the Eight of Wands, but it could also speak to something of like spiritual warfare kind of thing here with the Moon and the Eight of Wands here. This could speak to kind of like some spiritual warfare. We do also have the King of Wands here as well, but this time it's coming up in reverse. And the King of Wands is almost up there with kind of like Emperor energy to me, because, you know, they're both like that Mars, that fiery energy, that very of masculine, very strong-willed, very Aryan kind of energy. But in the sense with this coming up in reverse, it feels to me that basically this project, this Project Bluebeam has kind of taken on a life of its own. Maybe it's something that not only America or the CIA is messing with, maybe it's something that has spun out of control to where other groups and individuals are messing around with it, or there has been external, because again, taking it from a research perspective, because that's what I'm getting, maybe there were certain, what they call it, factors that they didn't account for during this experiment that has kind of come in and influenced it. What those factors are and those influences are, I'm not getting a clear bead on, but that's kind of like what it feels like. And then again, this is going back to with this King of Wands in reverse. We have the Three of Cups in reverse here. So this to me speaks to like an unwanted party, somebody that was not invited, something that maybe something that was considered but never considered to actually happen. Like, oh, it was a thought, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, we really didn't think you were going to be a part of this. We didn't think this was going to happen, kind of thing. And then we have the Five of Coins here. So the Five of Coins to me kind of speak to being left out in the cold. It also speaks to destitution. It speaks to kind of like being alone. It speaks to banishment, exclusion. It also, in this particular one, is talking about like how they were keeping people, they were trying to keep people out that they didn't want, which again to me speaks to like with this Three of Cups, somebody is here that, or a factor has been coming into this that we weren't expecting. We've lost control of the experiment. We wanted this for ourselves. It's kind of like giving, I don't know, I want to say like crab in the barrel mentality, but I don't know how that makes sense with this, because if it's something that's supposed to be getting used against the public, unless it's something like, again, where I was saying it feels like maybe other countries or something like that, or other big parties, or ruling members of the ruling class are also utilizing it for their own personal gain or something, or kind of like rigging the system in a sense. I really feel like social media has something to do with it, though. I don't know why I'm getting something about that, but social media is something that's coming up for this for me. But I digress. Let me keep going in the line here. And then we also have the Knight of Swords here. And so if you don't know in tarot, Knight of Swords is usually like the fastest moving knight. Air carries it, it excels you, propel you forward. But with this coming up in reverse, to me, it kind of, why stalemate is the word that came to mind. But stalemate is the word that came to mind. But it could speak to just kind of like, again, you've lost control of this. Maybe you need to put the brakes on this. You need to stop and kind of put some safety guards in place while this experiment or this research is continuing to be conducted. Me personally, I feel like we're already a part of Project Bluebeam. Like, it's already running. It's already a thing. Me personally is what I'm getting from this. But again, I'm not sure exactly what it is. I want to say it's probably something propaganda wise, like controlling a narrative. Like, how can we, okay, so the best way I can explain it, so if you've ever, because I'm sorry, I'm in the US education system, but basically, to me, if you have ever heard about like World War II, World War One, you know how they did a lot of the propaganda around that time. I mean, even the Nazis did it. A lot of the propaganda around that time, every country was running their own propaganda about like why you should hate America, why should Americans hate the Nazis, why, even the Jewish thing, like, this is why you shouldn't like Jews. You see a lot of the narrative running now. This is why you shouldn't like people from these particular places in the Middle East. Here in America, we have a thing where a lot of people's like, we shouldn't like Mexicans because they're taking our jobs, and they're coming in illegally and they're taking all of the money from our government. I would say most foreigners, but they mainly focus on Mexicans, or like right now Haiti. You have a lot of people who are leaving Haiti because of the things that's going on there. So you have like all of these little like propaganda of why you shouldn't like this person or trust this person, and this is why this group of people, not this person, but that group and this group of people, why you shouldn't trust them, why you shouldn't socialize with them, and this is why they're bad. I think Russians and Americans have that really big about like, you shouldn't trust Russians and they're cold-hearted. And it's like, no, that's just their culture. Like, to us, it may be coming off cold-hearted, but that's just like how they grow up. To me, it just feels like a lot of like propaganda. How can we control and spin a narrative to make basically like a hive mind? How can we make people hive-minded? How can we get people to all think and move a certain way? And maybe that's the case here where it feels like other countries are doing that. Because if, I don't care where you are in the world, every country has their own propaganda. I feel like every country runs on its own brand. Every country runs on its own, like founding principles, essentially. And so that's kind of like what I'm getting. I feel like it's something dealing with propaganda. And I guess that's probably where the social media tie-in is coming from. Because if you are in someone who's like in a first world country, I would say even third world, because a lot of people are getting things with like, are, easily being able to access things like cell phones and stuff like that. Or, even if you're somebody who live in a village that don't get a lot of electricity, you probably still don't like certain tribesmen from next door or whatever the case may be. I feel like that's probably also where the social media aspect is coming in. Like, what's the quickest and fastest way we can disseminate and propagandize. Is that a word? I feel like that's a word. And propagandize our citizens to think a certain way so we can get them to do what we want. But again, it feels like we've kind of like lost the reins on this. But let's see if I can get anything more on this. Okay. Can we expand, Spirit, on why this moon card is here? Why is this moon card here for Project Bluebeam? I had the revenge card flip over as well as the isolation card, but they didn't hit the table. So, Spirit, can you let me know why the moon card is here for Project Bluebeam? Okay, wait. So you want to see what came out? So the card is domination. And notice what domination, what it depicts here. You have the Sagittarian with the Mars energy. Remember I was saying about the King of Wands here, like how it almost feels, I compare the King of Wands is almost up there with the Emperor, but you know, he doesn't have quite the power just yet. But notice on here, it depicts different religions. And with some of the religions, yeah, sorry, that's blurry. And with some of the religions, the big ones that you can think of that are fighting right now. Because I want to say this is dealing with Islam here, the star and the moon. This gives me Jewish and this gives me Christian. No? It's starting to get interesting here. Eight of Wands. Why is this Eight of Wands here? Okay. Oh, I had a lot of stuff flip over in my hand. I don't know if you all can see that. Here. Look at that. Let's see what flipped over. We're just going to take note. So we have resourcefulness, acquisition, originality, detachment, submission, adaptability, endurance. Is that the things that they were testing for, maybe? Okay, we have plebiscite here. Look at that, plebiscite. We also have status that flipped over, choice, and empathy. But again, they're flipping over on my hand. Spirit, I needed to hit the table. Discrimination. Eight of Wands. Discrimination. Is this... Okay, I want to say, is this dealing with caste systems? But hold on. And then we have secrets again coming up in reverse. I'm saying again because the moon card. So this flipped over in my hand again, and this is romance with the Three of Cups, which I find pretty interesting that the romance card is the one that's coming up in reverse with the Three of Cups. Because if this is a love reading, that's like, whoop, my battery died. Okay, let's see. Straighten this back out. So as you can see here, what fell? Escape is what fell on the table for the Three of Cups. And again, we're getting some more religious depictions here with the Buddha. This kind of gives me Greek mythology here as well. Mars and Pisces with the Three of Cups. Didn't I mention something about spiritual warfare before? That's coming up again. I'm not sure why. Did my camera just blink, or am I tripping? I don't know if it did that. I'm gonna have to, when I watch this back, that's gonna be interesting. Um the Three of Cups with the escape card here. The Three of Cups usually is speaking to an unwanted party. Or like somebody not falling in line here. And it, again, to me, it's like people escaping into certain spiritual practices. Like maybe they were expecting like, oh, it's going to be between these three, but you know, you hear about more people just kind of like going off into their own spiritual practices that fit them. They're kind of going back to the old pagan religions a lot, even though a lot of these are based off of pagan stuff. I don't care what you say, especially Christianity is really based off a lot of like pagan beliefs. So is that Venus in Virgo? No, I think that's Scorpio, actually. Venus and Virgo. Yeah, so this is speaking to something very, like, deep, dark. And it's Venus in Virgo here. Five of Coins, order. And remember, I was saying it's kind of like trying to kick somebody out. It feels like banishment, abolishment. What is this here? We have inheritance that flipped over, drama, and restlessness. The restlessness definitely makes sense for the Knight of Swords. But let's see, I only need 1 or 2 cards, Spirit, for why the Knight of Swords is here in reverse. Okay, and it was one that flipped over in my hand. I'm going to show you that. Oh, it was more than one. Okay, come on. Influence, lust, convention, idealism, enterprise, affair, innovation, principle, acquisition, caution, fortune, power, and assertion. All of those flipped over. But discovery is the one that hit here. And I want to say this is this Mercury in Sagittarius? Mercury in Sagittarius, Moon in Virgo. That seems very at home. And what's the underlying energies here? Disharmony, because it was harmony, speculation, and criticism. So I'm going to tell you what it feels like to me. So I don't know if you've all seen the plot or the premise to, what was that? Was that Captain America? I believe that was Captain America. But I think they also talk about it in The Invasion or whatever. I think he kind of also have like the sort of same premise. But this feels like, if you all have heard the rumors and the stories, the allegations, you know, when Germany was, you know, broken down, but they wanted the scientists because of all of the experimentation that they were running. They wanted the knowledge. They wanted the nuclear power that they were running. They wanted all of the like esoteric stuff that they were working on, the research, even though it was like some of the stuff was like weird, but they wanted to work on it, you know, kind of like how the CIA also has done stuff with like what they call it, MK Ultra and stuff like that. And to me, this feels like we took your people, your scientists and stuff like that, and we think we have the higher leg up. Meanwhile, those scientists and stuff was watching us and discovered a way to kind of like infiltrate and break down what we have. It kind of feels like double, triple agent kind of energy here. Like, yeah, we'll give you the knowledge, we'll give you the help, we'll give you the tools. Little do you know, the tools that we're giving you is going to destroy your whole empire kind of thing. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. And I feel like maybe that was the the factor that maybe that wasn't considered. Maybe it was thought of, but it was like, oh, well, it really wasn't any kind of like safeguards in place to prevent that. And if they were, they have been done away because of years of people just kind of like working against it. Also, the other part to this feels like there is something, some kind of like spiritual component to this to me. I'm sorry. It feels like some spiritual component that also plays part in this. And I feel like a lot of it, not only is it just like emotional control and manipulation, also feels like spiritual control and manipulation. Like, how can we get this back under wraps? How can we, again, get you to follow what we need you to? But we weren't, again, accounting for kind of like you all, the public, allegedly, to kind of just go your own way or escape into, like, I keep thinking like recede into yourself in some sense. You keep receding into yourself. We didn't expect you to go that route. We thought you all would kind of like respond like this because this is how it happened in our previous research and stuff like that. We didn't account for maybe time changing and the things that were going to be produced and created to help you kind of like thwart what we're doing here or whatnot. Like, we didn't know it was going to have that much of an effect on you. We thought it was just like a placebo. It's not really a placebo. And I feel like, again, it just feels like we're just watching to see how this is going to play out. What's going to come out on top. If we add a little bit of salt to this and we add a little sugar, but we take away the flour, what's going to rise out of this yeast? You know, like, what's going to come out of this concoction, this recipe that we have created. And another part of this also kind of just, again, I was speaking to this earlier, the other part of this, or the other layer to this, also feels like something dealing with like caste systems. If you don't know what caste systems are, if you're somebody who's from like India and stuff like that, you're pretty familiar. If you ever read the book Caste, it's talking about how you make a ruling, a middle, and a lower class based on people's, it's not even race, but just like, I guess the word is ideologies, maybe. You have to you have to check off certain boxes in order to be considered ruling. You have to check off certain boxes and things like that to be considered middle. And then you check off certain boxes. If you don't check off those boxes for like the middle or the ruling class, then you're the other. You also have some classes where it's like, oh, well, you're so far down that you're untouchable. Like, there's no way you can come up. Caste systems is also something you probably heard about it in a more familiar term like this, of like, oh, if your father was a carpenter, you're going to be a carpenter. Your son is going to be a carpenter. Your son's son is going to be a carpenter until the end of time. You know, it's like those kind of caste things. Like, we told you this is your place on earth and that's where you're going to be. So some of this also feels like that. It feels like it's 3 different layers to this. If that's making sense. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, one rolled off to the side here. Pig, we have beware of greed. I think that is something I alluded to earlier, of like, you have people who were supposed to like be inactive participants. What is that project? What is that project? Where was it called? The Stanton experiment. You had the people who were also being a part of the experiment to kind of like control and dictate it a certain way, but they ended up kind of like becoming pivotal pieces in the experiment. Like, that's what the pig is giving me. Beware of greed. You seen that there was some kind of potential here, kind of going back to that 8 of clubs here. You seen that there was some potential outcome with this that you could utilize for your own personal gain and powers, and you have started manipulating the test results because you're adding influences and other factors into this that we weren't accounting for. And it's been kind of like deterred, or yeah, it's steered the project off course a little bit. So now we're trying to add stuff back into it or take stuff out to get it to kind of like course correct or something. Or maybe we should just let it play out and see what happens. Okay, these two wanted to come out. Keep your life in balance. Danger, especially in money matters. In need of help, assistance, and guidance. And here go that moon again. Changes in your life. And we also have desk. Pay attention to your work. This just feels like one big experiment. And the underlying card here was mice. And the mice card reads discord among friends or family. So I kid you not. So the next top card, August. You see the moon. They both have like that same shading shadow cast over skies here. I don't know, guys. Maybe this reading was just too much for me to do. I probably bit off more than I can chew, but I'm gonna stand behind this reading that I feel like there's at least 3 layers to this. TLDR. I think there's 3 stages to Project Bluebeam. Whether or not it's something that's government ran or not, I kind of feel like it's more like an experiment. I'm not sure if it's our government or somebody else's government or the ruling class at large that is in control of this, allegedly. But what it feels like to me is that there's 3 layers. It feels like there's something here in trying to control people's emotional and spiritual beliefs. There's some kind of spiritual kind of like control here for me. There's also something about caste systems. I feel like that's coming up for me in this. And then there also feels like it's something like, again, it feels like an experiment that has kind of gone awry because of someone interjecting or adding to this or infiltrating it or saying something was a placebo when it was really something that could alter the outcome of the experiment. It feels like those are the 3 things that are really kind of like coming up and sticking out to me, and I'm going to stand by those 3 for sure. Again, it feels like some spiritual or emotional warfare. It feels like an experiment more than anything, and it also feels like it's something of dealing with kind of like, if we can interject all of these beliefs, this spiritual and emotional propaganda on you, propagandize you to feel and think a certain way, to manipulate your spirit in some kind of way or something like that, then we can also get you to think a certain way to control you to be into these certain caste systems. That's kind of like what it feels like. Now, again, this is all alleged for entertainment purposes only, but those are like the big parts to me that is kind of like jumping out, and that's the best way that I can explain it. So yeah, August, I don't know. I don't know if that's just giving me timing or it's just saying the moon has come up quite a lot in this reading. There is definitely some moon energy here, some secrecy, some covertness going on. So yeah. I don't think I was going to get all of that here. But let me know what you all think down in the comment section below. Give this reading a thumb up. If you would like to see more conspiracy readings, let me know about some down in the comment section. And let me see if I can do a little research and see if I can, if it's something worth doing anything on. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell and turn it to all so you can see the next time I upload. With that, I wish you all a great night or day wherever you are. Stay blessed, protected, and highly favored. And I will see you in the next video.